In this question, we are being asked which two of the following items must be disclosed in the note to the financial statements for intangible assets. To answer this question correctly, you'll need to understand the requirements from IAS 38 and the disclosure requirements for an intangible asset. Remember that an intangible asset is an identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance. It is classified as a non-current asset and it has a disclosure note. IAS 38 tells us that the disclosure requirements include the following: costs, amortization, which should include the methods and the expected period to be amortized, any impairments that will write down and reduce the intangible asset, and a reconciliation of the balance at the beginning of the year to the end. Looking at the four options to choose from, we have to decide how much detail is required to be disclosed regarding intangible assets. Looking at the first one, impairment losses written off intangible assets during the period is something that we would expect to see in the disclosure requirements for this asset. The second option, mentioning a description of the development projects that have been undertaken during the period, is something that we wouldn't need in the disclosure note. The organisation would hold this information, but it doesn't need to be communicated in the financial statements. The third option is that the useful lives of intangible assets capitalised in the financial statements should be included. This is something we would expect to see in our disclosure note, stating how long the intangible assets are going to be amortized. And then finally, the last statement is a list of all intangible assets purchased or developed in the period. This is the breakdown of the information that would be disclosed in the financial statements, and it is unnecessary to have that much detail included. Therefore, IAS 38 tells us that what's required for a disclosure note in the financial statements is the first option, impairment losses written off intangible assets during the period, and the third option, the useful lives of intangible assets capitalised in the financial statements.